up, guys? Welcome back to the Milk Carton series. I'm your host, Stephanie. If you are new tuning in, but if you're tuning back in, thank you again for watching this small YouTuber who's trying to continue to grow. I know November was wild, but I'm back, and I hope that you guys will appreciate the consistency because life. But welcome back. So today's story, guys, was recommended from a loving subby, and this story, y'all, like, it gives me like that feeling of why I do these videos, why I get so excited to do these videos for you guys. Like, it brought that flame back for me. And I say that because you guys know I report on the missing and I report on Jane Does and just crime stories. Well, this one focuses on our Jane Does. And you guys know how I stress, like, it's so imperative that we share the stories, you know, like we do our part as a living to just, you know, continue to get that social media flow. Although these cases have been around years on years, you know, over decades on decades, it's so important that we continue to talk about them. And why? Because today's story focuses on a beautiful little baby girl. She was 18 months when she tragically died, and she did not have a name. Now, let's fast forward to 2020 of this year. Maybe something good can come out of this year, right? She finally has a name, and we'll talk about that later in this video, but I really want to just like go through her case a little bit and just talk about it because it's so important, and it reminds me of my purpose, and it reminds me of why I like to do these videos, and that I'm so glad there's other people out there who want to change the game of, you know, of it all, of crimes, period, you know? Now, I tried my very best to like research as much as I could of the case, but since this case began in 1982, and of course we're in 2020, there's not a lot of information, but I will give the best that I can. So I do apologize if there's not a lot of info or some of it is not as accurate, but I will, like always, post all the links so you guys can go and check it out. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost, because I don't want anyone to think like, oh, you know, it is what it is. I just don't want to think anything. So it is said that this beautiful 18-month-old baby, whose name is Alyssa Ann Henrich, she went missing with her 23-year-old mother, Gwendolyn Clements. And it says, like, I know I seen on, well, you know, Wikipedia is like never really accurate, but it says a date of November 24th, 1982, that this little baby and her mother went missing. That was the last time anyone had physically seen them, but then it contradicts that date because then it says on December 3rd, 1982, the baby and I seen together. Now, it has been said that Gwendolyn and her husband were going through a divorce. December 3rd, 1982, it had been reported from many witnesses that they seen a woman carrying a baby who was pacing back and forth, but also walking on this interstate highway. And this was between the hours of midnight to 1 a.m. Now, it has been reported that they've both been missing from November 24th. I did double check on the article just to confirm that date, but they were also seen on December 3rd as well. They have been reported seen on I-10, which was close to the Alabama border. And she was walking west towards where like this truck station is. It specifies this as like truck scales is pretty much what majority of the articles that I read. So they kind of say the same thing. It has been stated that she was in like a distress type of mood, and those who offered help or assistance to her, she declined any of the help. It has been stated that the baby didn't have any shoes on, and she not necessarily a coat. And when I think about November, December-ish, and this happened near like Mississippi, Alabama, you know, it's like, I wonder what that weather was like, but they did say in one of the articles that the baby was barefoot. So within 2 days, on December 5th, around 7 a.m., a trucker said that he found the mother's body floating. He said, and this was the Escatop River, and I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Your girl was like, how do you pronounce that word? And this was also near the Interstate 10, where previously on December 3rd, there have been witnesses stating that they seen this woman with this barefooted baby. Immediately, this trucker reports it to the sheriff's office. You know, they come out and they're searching the area. But what is strange is her body was no longer there in this river. But as he's continuing to search, he sees this blonde-haired figure, and he notices that it's a baby's body. And she was partially submerged, and it is as said, like we're like weeds or something of that nature. But she was very close to the bridge, and it had appeared that maybe someone had threw her off of this bridge that overlooked the river. Stated that because the area where her body was partially thrown, which had like high levels of weeds, this is why a lot of motorists did not see this body at all. But it's very strange that the mother's body was nowhere to be found. Like, that was mind-boggling when I read it. They even did like searches in the water for her body. They looked the area for her body, but there had not been anything to turn up of Gwendolyn's body. And they also believe that maybe it wasn't Gwendolyn's body, but it wouldn't make sense, because why on earth would her body be, you know, in this river, and then next thing you know, it's gone? And I'm not familiar with the area, so I don't know if they got, you know, different things in the water. You know, I really don't know. And when I think of someone drowning, and especially if the water isn't as like shallow or whatever, you know, I often wonder, like, maybe the body went to the bottom of the river. Like, a lot of the key things go into play when you think about someone drowning. You know, you don't want anyone to drown, but, you know, like, you think about those things. Crazy, as I was reading, this same river, they found skeletal remains of an African-American male on December 8th. And it leads you to think, well, I think about this all the time. People throw a lot of things in rivers, especially over bridges, because they just want to get rid of it. And it makes you wonder how many more bodies are in this river. Like, when autopsy was done on this baby, y'all, they said that the baby was smothered before being thrown into this river. And what's sad is this baby was alive before she was thrown in this river still. Like, she was not dead. And I'm just like, what cruel or sick freaking individual could do that to a baby? Like, a freaking baby. I cannot. But of course, as a baby, you don't know how to swim. So that is partially how she died, because she got a lot of water in her lungs. Law enforcement believed that the body was thrown there about 36 to 48 hours prior to her discovery. And they said that, you know, the baby was in good health. You know, she had this beautiful blonde hair, and she didn't show any signs of not being fed or taken care of. So it often wonders, did her mother throw her in this water? That's what law enforcement was to believe, because they couldn't find her. And although someone had found or says they seen a woman's body in the water, you ever think about maybe if that person lied? You know, I'm not sure. This baby ended up getting the name Delta Dawn, and that's kind of became her name as a Jane Doe, because of course no one was able to identify this baby at all. Law enforcement and the public actually buried this beautiful baby and, you know, gave her like a burial. It makes it sad, because it's like, damn, I don't know what it's like back in 1982. I know that the media wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but it's like no one knew. Like I wonder like what family she had, you know? You know, maybe she had aunts or uncles, you know, grandmother, you know, like if that's your missing loved one, like it just sucks, because I wonder, like, if we were living in today's society with social media and people sharing everything, like, she would have definitely probably had a name. But that's easier said than done, too, because look at all of the cases that I report on and how some people don't have a name. But there is power in social media, I will say that. That's the one thing about this generation that I do love, is the power of using social media for great things. So in 2009, her body was exhumed to get DNA sampling, and for the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, we wanted to compare her DNA nationwide, and that's the beauty of DNA. But ultimately, there was nothing that showed up. On December 4th, 2020, the County Sheriff's Department revealed the identity of this 18-month baby by the name of Alyssa Ann Henrich. And she is from Joplin, Missouri. It was confirmed through DNA sequencing, genetic genealogy. And you guys know I love me some genealogy, because I know like a lot of things get crap, like Ancestry, 23andMe, but there has been so much beauty in that DNA aspect of it that I love. And I know a lot of people are against their DNA, but I'm like, my DNA is already in the system, so I don't care, you know. But there has been so many cases that have been solved via genealogy. And I wish more people would hop on it, because this will mean more cases will be solved if we give up the DNA. Like, so many people don't want to give up DNA because they're so afraid of police and everything else. But that's neither here nor there. The good thing is, her DNA was linked to a family member where Gwendolyn and the baby live back in Missouri. A lot of articles don't reveal this, but I found this article on Oxygen, and I thought it would be great to share, because people need to know how the funding came about to getting this solved. So a woman by the name of Catherine Seversky, I'm probably pronouncing her last name incorrectly, but I'll leave all the links down below so you guys can check it out. She's an editor and also a mother of two, and she basically used her own finances to fund this journey. And she had been following this case for over decades. Said that when she was 8, she learned about this case, and she began to, it tugs at your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear an 18-month-old baby like was thrown off a bridge, or potentially thrown off a bridge to drown, and then you can't find the mother nowhere, and you don't even know what happened to that mom, and or the baby. So I can fully understand why she did. So she was supposed to go on like this big 40th birthday, but she decided, because in this time frame, it had been stated that her own father was dying, and she just didn't really feel the need to spend her money on a lavish trip. And she thought about this beautiful baby following on, and decided to reach out to the police department and how she could help solve the case. By providing this funding, this allows that genealogy, genetics thing to happen. This stuff is not cheap. And she even expressed this in the article, how she's doing this for another case, and how a lot of police departments can't truly solve these cases because there is no proper funding to assist in these new advances in technology. And it's very true. She does give a tip and say, if you want to assist in helping out to fund any of these cases, you should reach out to the police department to get it done. And I thought that was beautiful. So I had to share that in there because I didn't see it in other articles, but it was on Oxygen, and I thought that was dope. Like, she needs to get all her recognition as well as law enforcement. Law enforcement do say that they do not know if the mother is alive or dead, and they really don't have any new information regarding her disappearance. But I am so glad that this 18-month-old baby has a name. Every child, every human being deserves to be buried with their names. And it sucks because there are so many Jane Does. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next video. And don't forget to share any stories you want me to cover, because I don't mind covering them. So until the next episode, guys, I'll see you. Bye.